don't have time for this.
Captain, we should chat. Graham's got the right idea, but he isn't the right guy to execute it. I don't even think he's motivated by philosophism anymore. I think he's just guilt-ridden. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I keep going over and over it in my head, and the only way I see the Iconoclast surviving is we depose him. Yeah. Hell, most of our people listen to me already. I thought so, but now I'm not so sure. Graham's always saying that what will be, that we're all here for a reason. Maybe his was to teach me to lead. And maybe mine is to save the colony where he can't. Sometimes, you gotta do what's best for someone, even if they think you're wrong. Even if it's painful. When we're in Stellar Bay, they'll come around. Take Stellar Bay. Lick our wounds. Eventually, figure out how the hell we're going to spread the word to the rest of the colony. I'm going to confront him. Can I count on your support? Okay. Deep breaths. This is what's best, Sora. Time to save Monarch.
Captain, you must be back with the access codes to our new ship.
Graham, we need to talk.
We have work to do. This isn't the time for one of our spats. Stand down? I'm afraid I don't understand, Captain.
You're running the Iconoclast into the ground, and I don't believe it'll get better after we take Stellar Bay. The troops take orders from me already, and you've brought me as far as you can down the Eternal Path. It's time to step down.
The troops. Listen to you. This isn't an army. They aren't soldiers. They're believers. Followers. They pick up a gun because you tell them to, not because they want to. And you, Captain, after all you've done for me, for us, you throw behind this mutinous blasphemer? I built this movement from the ground up. I've brought freedom to Monarch, and all these years later, we're still free.
I joined because I believed that you were in it for the Iconoclasts. That you wanted nothing more than to bring freedom to Halcyon. That you were selfless. But I know the truth now, Graham. I know what happened in Amber Heights. You didn't start this movement because you wanted to save us. You wanted to save yourself.
No. Guilty? I didn't mean for them to die. I'm not a monster. Of course I feel fucking guilty. I've spent years atoning for my sins. I've studied, meditated, taught. I built the Iconoclasts so that any man could cast away his past for a fresh start.
That's your answer, Graham? You needed a fresh start? After all those innocent lives? I'm sorry. I believed in you once. I did. But it's over. Stand down.
I won't. What happened back then was a mistake, and the colony has moved on. This is my movement. These are my people. If you want to lead them, you'll have to kill me.
Please. Don't make me do this, Graham.
If this is where my path ends, I accept it. But as long as I draw breath, I will not abandon them.
So be it.
Welcome to now.
Asshole. Well, Captain, here we are. Killed a lot of people in the name of the Iconoclasts, and it never feels right. But this time, it's especially wrong. You've got the... Void held me. I'll never remember what that thing is called. The device from the ship. Do you have it? I've thought about it, but I think we're too far gone. Pulling Carlotta's support was crossing a line. Yeah, well, we'll die Fuck. I sound like Graham. Throwing lives at a problem. I've lost a hell of a lot to this fight. Graham would never agree to this, but I'm starting to realize how often he led us astray. All right. If he's willing to talk, I'll give him a chance.
If the Iconoclasts reach that ship first, there won't be any chance for a peaceful monarch. I don't suppose you've found the targeting module yet. I've sent patrols, but they're running into trouble with the Iconoclasts. Well, because the module controls the weapons systems. Because once we mount them on Stellar Bay's walls, no Marauder or Raptidon will ever be a threat to us again. Stellar Bay will be as secure as any other settlement in Halcyon. The board's own Salvage and Recovery Clause 32B would say differently.
And they won't dare challenge us over this. Not after the data you found on their experiments here.
Can you imagine what those maniacs would do with weapons like that? They'd wreak havoc.
Or they go and get themselves killed. Then they're not your problem anymore.
The board would consider us complicit in any of their folly. That would only get us ousted again.
And roll back all the progress we've made at reconciling with the rest of Halcyon.
This would be more than a shakeup. Even if they merely sat on the scraps, the threat of a bunch of anarchists holding a gunship would bring the full wrath of the board down on Monarch. We can't afford that.
I'm skeptical they'd care enough to wipe us out, but if they did, we wouldn't stand a chance.
Ah, you see our quandary then. Good, because we haven't a moment to lose. That's surprising. The board's equipment is usually in top shape. After all, they have first access to any fresh parts or components. A conspiracy? You've spent too much time around Graham. They're all mad! And what's more, they left us! I don't see any way for us to work together. Not this again.
Remember what we practiced, sir?
Yes. The words in those reviews were very hurtful, but they do not define me. I am a Mantipillar, and my will is my cocoon. I can emerge and become whatever I wish. I hadn't thought of it that way. Perhaps you have a point. Supposing you're right, who exactly would you have me work with? The Iconoclasts are not the most compromising sorts. Oh, how do these things ever start? Once upon a time, Graham and I saw the same problems with MSI. A rigid corporate structure with no regard for its people. But where I wanted to reform MSI, he only wanted to take it apart, as if starving in the wilderness is somehow better than starving under corporate mismanagement. He wouldn't hear reason, and I doubt any of his successors will either. That's an interesting suggestion. I confess I don't know much about her except that she worked for Rizzo.
There ain't a body on this planet that can keep a group patched up like she has. I don't know how she does it.
I'd be willing to consider it. But I need to see her review first. Very well. I can't promise anything, but let's see what we have here. Well, it seems like she's actually very qualified.
If it weren't for her, I'd wager the Iconoclast would have died off a while ago.
All right. I'll have Celia organize a meeting in neutral territory, the old OSI church in the ruins. Meet us there, and we'll discuss terms.
Hey, thanks for coming.
I wish I'd had more time to prepare a proper analysis on the costs and benefits of your proposed union, but I suppose we'll have to improvise.
Gotta admit, I really thought I was walking into a trap here. I'm ready.
If it were, I wouldn't be standing here all vulnerable-like.
Sanjar, Stellar Bay's got food and walls. And my people need both. If you'll have us, we're willing to share the space.
Do you have any idea what that would cost? Why, drawing up the budget alone is going to take weeks.
Not good enough. I need to move a fair amount of my people into the city. We need shelter, Captain. Suppose some of our healthier folk could offer aid. Some of us need to stay in the city proper, though.
Well, I'll be damned. If you two can work together, maybe there's some hope for this place after all.
Truly, a compromise? I'm not sure I'd ever have heard as much from Graham.
Graham was a murderous fiend, and I'd be shocked if you didn't already know that.
This feels like one of those times when everyone at headquarters but me is laughing at something, but you two aren't laughing.
Amber Heights, you haulhead. 10 years ago, Graham had all those people killed.
What? That's not possible. Even for him, that's going too far. But that means... I had no idea, I swear. Look, we were both fed up with corporate leadership, but I never guessed he'd do something like that.
I buy it. Sanjar ain't capable of hurting a sprat, even from a distance.
You can't take bureaucrats at their word. You back someone into a corner like this, and they'll say anything to get out of it. Okay, Okay. You're right. Sorry. It'll take me a while to get over losing Graham.
You know, I felt the same way years ago, when he first left. You know, there was something magnetic about him that let you ignore the things you didn't want to see. But surely you know what that's like.
Yeah, I do. Okay, if you're willing to house and supply some of us, I'll have our more capable soldiers help out.
As am I. Oh, I can feel my blood pressure lowering already.
Thanks for coming out, Sanjar. Guess I'll see you at Stellar Bay.
50-Bit says they kill each other before the week's out. Can we talk? Things on Monarch have really cooled off. I didn't think MSI and the Iconoclast would ever talk. Outside of shouting four-letter words, I mean. Sure, and fish sticks are really made from Saltuna. Look, I won't knock the work you did. I'm sure they'll have a good cry, look through old photographs, share a pint of premium double chocolate cacao gelato. But sooner or later, things will go back to the way they were. People don't change. Not really. In my experience, it's spread real thin. Anyway, I'd hate to see you get broken up if this thing between them doesn't last. Hey, let's not make this out to be more than it is. Anything else?
Carry on.
Well, well. Isn't often we see new folk in Stellar Bay. First drink's on me, stranger. Enjoy. If you're keeping Nyoka company, you'll need a few to keep up with her.
Ain't a person on this planet who can keep up with me. Wait, we are talking about a drinking contest, right?
Now what can I do for you? Anyone who spends any amount of time in this bar is bound to get to know Nyoka. On account of her being here so often herself.
Hey, you ought to be paying me. Without me livening up the place, y'all would be wallowing in the misery that is your sad corporate lives.
I don't mean that unkindly, Nyoka. Anyone who's rid us of as many beasts as you have is entitled to a few drinks. Something else I can do for you? Not since Amber Heights. But things sure are changing around here. Who knows? Maybe that will too. Bunch of marauders broke into the executive compound, slaughtered everyone. Corporations pulled out of Monarch not long after. I thought everyone knew. But then that was 10 years ago. Still feels fresh to us every time we look at our walls, though. Thought it had a fancy ring to it. Name's the first advertising anyone sees, after all. Nope. But a man can dream.
I'd show you around, but I gotta keep watch, just in case someone else comes along.
Some crew members are causing a disturbance on the ship.
You're adjusting before you pull. You're anticipating it.
Of course I'm anticipating it. What if I shoot a friend on accident?
That's on account of your stance. You want to lean into it. Embrace it. Work with it. You're in control here, Parvati, not the gun. Don't let a hunk of metal jerk you around. You've been around powerful machinery all your life. You're always in control, right?
I guess that's kind of like when the filler's shooting 600 cans of near molten cell tuna down the conveyor while I'm trying to tune a belt.
Here, stand like me. Just so. Hips square. Lean forward a little. It's just equipment, and you're just an engineer using it.
Ah!
Okay. We'll try again later. You'll get it. I promise.
Initiating initialization sequences. Greetings, customer! This SAM unit is unable to locate your registered information. Would you like to register your SAM? Registering new owner, Captain. SAM units live to clean and clean to live.
Hey boss, I want to talk to you. I can't believe I wanted to shake his hand. I need a shower. It makes you wonder if being a treacherous, two-timing coward is some sort of contagious disease, or if he was just born that way. At first, I liked what Graham was doing. The Iconoclasts were going to change Halcyon for the better. But then, we found out Graham was behind the slaughter of Amber Heights. How can anybody so morally bankrupt lead a movement to transform the colony? Yeah, maybe you're right. You'd never do something like that, would you? Slaughter a whole community of innocents? I'm sure Graham told himself the same thing. He wasn't the one who held the gun and pulled the trigger. All he did was turn a key. The thing is, that's all it takes. Sometimes the difference between right and wrong is turning a key, or looking the other way, or keeping your mouth shut when you ought to speak up. Let's get back to it. I need to put all this ugly business with Graham behind me.
Velma seem out of sorts to you? Don't worry about me, Captain. Mama and I'll work this out.
You seen Arthur today?
Uh-huh. You blind, little bird? Or can you not see I'm busy? Why is it every sissy pig fucker who strolls into my town expects me to smile and shout awful friendly? Welcome to Fallbrook. Only nugget of paradise in this entire law-forsaken land. Like a void damn advert.
Catherine, you're as welcoming as ever.
Truthfully spoken, I do aim to properly represent my aforementioned nugget of paradise. You know, I ain't heard that one before. Suppose I'll have to work harder to show you just what makes our town shine. But first, I'll need to know what brings you, stranger. Well, I'm half listening. Good of you to finally haul your ass over here. I wired for backup weeks ago. Got something that's gonna require special extraction from Cascadia. So you got a brain on them shoulders. Excellent. Makes my life a world easier. To extract the gas, you'll need to siphon it from the lab in Cascadia into one of your ship's fuel tanks. Totally safe. Meaning safe for me and my crew, seeing as it ain't us undertaking the risk. I do like your gumption, but let's not be hasty. To get to the gas, you'll need to navigate through the town, which is overrun by marauders. The lab itself has become an infested nest, crawling with manties. You gotta fight through, or figure out some other way to exterminate them. Maybe the ventilation system? Do I look like one of them egghead science types? All I know is that labs use it to create plants and livestock out of local species. But it's a controlled commodity, available only to the board, so it is of high value on the dark market. So what perchance is your plan?
And will again. We ought to be taking any opportunity we get to bury those critters in lead.
Direct and aggressive. I always did like your sensibilities. You know when to strike and when to wait. Shame what came of your crew.
Crews are for ships. They were a family.
Close enough. Now, after you clear the Manti nest and reach the storage room, all that's left is to get the gas flowing into the fuel system. The task will require someone with technical skills. Or you could force it through with a plasma overload. Don't recommend that option, though, unless you want to get dead. Dandy. Did I mention the gas is of an extremely volatile nature? Handle it with the utmost of care. Once you've got our goods, take them to the groundbreaker. Lilia's fencers ought to handle the rest of it. I've marked the coordinates for you to the lab in Cascadia. Use the passcode Antediluvian on the terminal to get in. But before you make your run, I could use a heavy helping hand regarding a local issue. For a fine fee, of course. Good. This particular matter of opportunity has been eating at me for a while now. There's a Borst factory on up the way, run by a man who calls himself the King. Clive Lundberg, insufferable prick. That aside, it's a business ripe for the plucking. I want it. Clear as that. Stars, I hope so. Clive Lundberg, the self-proclaimed Borst King of Monarch, is swimming in profit and drowning in his ego. He's making the only meal to be had this side of Monarch, and I'm tired of ponying up for my dinner. I want that Borst factory, owner dead or alive. And you're the soon-to-be handsomely paid fucker who's gonna get it for me. Kill him, run him out. I don't rightly care for the details, so long as Clive knows resistance to me is costly and futile. Hit him where it hurts, and his gut or his production lines ought to make do. If you got brass knockers, you could shoot your way through the front gate. If you don't fancy getting shot to shit, you can try asking Duncan for a disguise. Might be another way in, assuming you're courageous enough to trek the sewers. Void if I know. Then I'd say you might care to poison the Cystypigs, doctor a few financial records, or throw a wrench in the canning machinery. Sometimes the simplest solution is the sweetest. I don't give a whit about the method or the means, just the end. It'll be more than good when you're finished. Maybe not for Clive, but for me and you, I'm sure. Oh, and if you don't fancy going in guns blazing or crawling through a sewer pipe, see Duncan in the Dry Goods and Sundry building. He ought to have an employee ID in that stash of illicit goods he keeps for select clientele. May luck be with you, since I won't be.
Now there's a woman who knows what she wants. I like her.
She's fine. Well, so long as you ain't on her bad side. Then she's liable to drown you in the waterfall.
I test every product myself to assure maximum customer satisfaction. If you doubt it, I can show you my lower back rash. No rubbernecking. Make a buy or move on. Not so fast. The biometric IDs are special goods, only on offer to special clients. You cotton? She needs it for a job? Well, Why didn't you say so? Reckoned you asked her where to best procure one, and she obligingly pointed you my way. Give me a jiffy to break. I mean, calibrate the ID. This goes like that. Nope, not quite right. A bit to the left, mayhaps. That'll do it. For a CMP factory line worker, she sure is a beauty. Careful. I'm trusting you to guard this specialty good with your life. I mean it. Lose the ID and you don't get another. Also, you'll be off my list of unwholesome customers. Will that be all, or do you require something to say, scratch your itch?